Step inside museums where history didn't whisper. It boldly revealed the raw truth of life itself. From fossilized lovers to shocking survival strategies, these exhibits prove sex in nature has always been powerful, risky, and unforgettable. What was once hidden behind locked doors and censored walls is now on full display. Once you see how museums expose desire, survival, and evolution, you'll never look at history the same way again. At number 10, we descend into one of the most astonishing moments where museums reveal sex in nature through pure science and chance preservation. Deep in Germany's Messel Pit, a UNESCO-listed fossil site, curators display 9 turtle pairs locked together for nearly 50 million years. These Eocene-era reptiles, a Liochelys crassosculpta, were discovered not scattered randomly, but paired with unmistakable intent. Each duo tells a silent story of reproduction interrupted by catastrophe in a prehistoric volcanic lake. The warm surface waters invited mating, while lethal gases lurked below like an invisible trap. As the turtle slowly drifted downward, oxygen vanished and movement ceased. The oil-rich shale preserved bone outlines, soft tissue impressions, and even faint skin shadows with breathtaking clarity. Males, noticeably smaller, remain positioned beneath larger females, confirming biological dimorphism seen in modern species. This display at the Senckenberg Museum transforms fossils into emotional evidence of evolutionary instinct. Rather than sensationalism, it presents reproduction as a survival gamble written into DNA. Visitors are confronted with the reality that natural desire has consequences shaped by environment. The exhibit bridges paleontology and behavioral biology in a way textbooks rarely can. It demonstrates how museums document intimacy without voyeurism. The scene is quiet, factual, and profoundly moving. Time appears paused at a decisive biological moment. Sliding into number 9, museums reveal sexuality through ingenuity rather than anatomy. The Holy Fels phallus, unearthed in southwestern Germany, challenges assumptions about Ice Age thinking. Carved from gray-green siltstone around 28,000 years ago, this artifact stands as one of humanity's earliest symbolic representations of male sexuality. Unlike later art confined to ritual spaces, this artifact lived a double life. Its polished surface and carefully shaped form suggest symbolic or sensual importance. Yet microscopic wear marks show it was repeatedly used to strike flint. This dual function transforms it from sculpture into survival equipment. Displayed today at the Museum of Prehistory Blaubeuren, it forces viewers to rethink prehistoric priorities. Pleasure, symbolism, craftsmanship, and practicality merged seamlessly in Paleolithic culture. The object reflects a mindset where human identity was not compartmentalized. Sexual symbolism existed alongside daily labor without contradiction. Museums showcasing this piece highlight how ancient societies integrated biology into everyday tools. It also balances the narrative dominated by Venus figurines. Here, masculinity is not abstract, but tangible and functional. The artifact speaks of ritual, status, and creativity bound together. It reminds audiences that sexuality is deeply rooted in human evolution. This is not provocation, it is anthropology carved in stone. By preserving this object, museums acknowledge intimacy as a historical force. The phallus becomes evidence of cognitive complexity. At number 8, the story of sex in nature unfolds through art, ritual, and belief in ancient Peru. Inside the Museo Larco, shelves of moche ceramics confront visitors with imagery both striking and purposeful. Created more than 1,500 years ago, these vessels depict sexual acts with anatomical precision rarely seen in ancient art. Yet their meaning goes far beyond shock value. For the Moche civilization, reproduction was cosmic energy. Sexual fluids symbolized rain, harvest, and agricultural renewal. Some pots portray living figures, while others include skeletal ancestors participating in intimate acts. This fusion of life and death reflects a cyclical worldview rather than morbidity. The ceramics were often used in ceremonial drinking practices, turning consumption into symbolic creation. Certain designs channel liquid through sculpted forms, reinforcing fertility symbolism through motion. Museums present these objects as religious instruments, not explicit curiosities. Their survival is remarkable considering colonial attempts to erase such imagery. Each vessel preserves theological philosophy molded in clay. The exhibits reveal how sexuality structured Moche cosmology. Rather than separating sacred and bodily experience, the culture unified them. These artifacts show museums can educate without censorship. They emphasize belief systems grounded in natural processes. Sex appears as a sustaining force rather than private indulgence. By displaying these works, museums honor indigenous knowledge about life cycles. At number 7, museums expose how fear, not history, once censored sexuality in plain sight. Hidden for nearly 200 years, Pompeii's infamous secret cabinet reveals a Roman world unapologetically immersed in erotic symbolism. When 18th and 19th century excavators uncovered Pompeii, they were shocked by what daily Roman life looked like carved in stone and painted on walls. Explicit frescoes, reliefs, and sculptures were swiftly locked away, accessible only to elite men with moral clearance. The most notorious artifact, a statue of the god Pan in an intimate encounter with a goat, became a symbol of Victorian panic rather than Roman values. To ancient Romans, such imagery wasn't obscene, it was natural, humorous, and protective. Phallic symbols lined streets, homes, bakeries, and gardens as talismans against bad luck. Wind chimes shaped like male anatomy jingled openly to repel evil spirits. Statues of Priapus guarded crops, wealth, and fertility. Museums today frame these objects as cultural language, not indulgence. They demonstrate how sexuality functioned as superstition, religion, and public art. The Forbidden Vault shows how later societies projected shame backward onto the past. By reopening these collections, museums allow history to speak without filters. The Roman body was never hidden, it was celebrated as power. Sliding into number 6, museums dive into biological extremes that redefine scale and adaptation. At the Icelandic Phallological Museum in Reykjavik, visitors encounter a specimen that instantly rewrites expectations, the preserved tip of a blue whale's penis. Measuring 170 centimeters alone, it hints at an organ that would reach over 16 feet in full length. This isn't spectacle for shock, it's evolutionary engineering on display. Blue whales mate in turbulent open oceans where precision is nearly impossible. To succeed, nature designed a fibroelastic structure capable of extreme extension and control. When not in use, the organ remains concealed in a specialized slit, maintaining hydrodynamics essential for survival. Museums contextualize this anatomy within marine biology, not novelty. The exhibit highlights how reproduction scales alongside body mass. It also compares specimens across species, from microscopic mammals to ocean giants. This contrast illustrates nature's adaptability rather than excess. Standing before it, visitors confront the raw mechanics behind sustaining Earth's largest life form. The display transforms curiosity into scientific respect. It shows that sex in nature is problem-solving at monumental levels. Museums use this example to dismantle taboos through education. At number 5, museums spotlight one of evolution's most astonishing contradictions. In London's Natural History Museum, the barnacle quietly steals the spotlight in the Sexual Nature exhibit. Permanently cemented to rocks, docks, and ship hulls, barnacles live a life without movement. Walking, swimming, or searching for mates is impossible. Yet evolution refused to accept extinction as the price of immobility. Instead, the barnacle developed the longest penis relative to body size in the animal kingdom, up to 30 times its own length. This flexible appendage extends into surrounding water, actively searching for neighboring partners. Museums contextualize this anatomy within evolutionary brilliance, not oddity. It's a solution driven purely by necessity. The barnacle demonstrates that natural selection favors effectiveness over appearance. Visitors learn how anatomy responds directly to environmental limitation. This exhibit transforms a humble sea creature into a symbol of persistence. It reveals how reproduction adapts even under extreme constraints. Museums use the barnacle to explain Darwinian pressure in real terms. Survival isn't about dominance, it's about innovation. This tiny organism proves that reproductive success fuels evolutionary creativity. The barnacle story resonates far beyond tide pools. At number 4, museums pull back the curtain on one of nature's most extreme reproductive strategies. Hidden within the mossy forests of the Pacific Northwest lives the banana slug, a creature whose mating ritual rewrites every romantic expectation. Displayed in the London Natural History Museum's Sexual Nature exhibit, this bright yellow invertebrate reveals that reproduction can be ruthless. Banana slugs are hermaphrodites, meaning every individual carries both male and female organs. During mating, both partners exchange roles simultaneously, creating a biological stalemate. But nature hates ties. As the act concludes, one slug performs apophallation, chewing off its own penis and leaving it lodged inside its partner. This shocking act isn't punishment, it's strategy. The severed organ blocks future rivals, ensuring genetic exclusivity. The slug that sacrifices its member doesn't perish. Instead, it continues life solely as a female, still capable of reproduction. Museums present this not as grotesque curiosity, but as evolutionary calculation. It's a living example of sexual conflict and adaptation. Visitors learn that mating is not always mutual benefit. Sometimes it's a zero-sum contest shaped by scarcity and competition. This exhibit strips romance from reproduction and replaces it with biological realism. It forces audiences to confront how far organisms will go to pass on genes. The banana slug becomes a symbol of evolutionary trade-offs. In nature, success often favors those willing to lose something permanent. At number 3, museums showcase moments of ancient romance sealed by catastrophe. In amber galleries, like those of the American Museum of Natural History, visitors encounter insects frozen mid-mating for tens of millions of years. Among the rarest finds are paired termites trapped together in golden resin for 38 million years. Their positioning puzzled scientists for decades. It didn't match known mating behavior. Only after recreating the scene with modern termites did the truth emerge. These insects were engaged in a tandem run, a courtship dance essential to forming new colonies. While moving together, they blundered into sticky tree resin. Instead of separating, they clung to each other. The resin hardened, preserving their final struggle in extraordinary detail. Museums frame these fossils as emotional snapshots rather than curiosities. They show courtship interrupted by chance, not choice. Amber also preserves damselflies, with elaborate limbs used to attract mates, frozen mid-display. These fossilized gestures reveal that sexual signaling existed long before humans. The exhibit turns amber into a biological time capsule. Visitors see behaviors, not just bodies. It proves mating rituals are ancient and deeply ingrained. The insects appear familiar despite their age. Attraction, movement, and connection transcend extinction. Museums use these fossils to humanize deep time. They demonstrate that desire shaped life long before modern ecosystems. At number 2, museums descend into the abyss to uncover one of the strangest mating methods on Earth. The giant squid, long mythologized as the kraken, reveals its reproductive secrets through rare museum specimens. At institutions like Te Papa, preserved giants finally explain how intimacy works in total darkness. Intimacy is impossible in the deep ocean. Encounters are rare and brief. To compensate, male giant squids evolved a powerful terminal organ unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. This muscular structure injects sperm packets directly into the female's flesh. These packets, called spermatangia, burrow beneath the skin and remain there for months. The female carries them unknowingly, embedded like biological time bombs. When she eventually releases eggs, fertilization is already guaranteed. Museums present this process as adaptation, not aggression. In an environment defined by pressure, cold, and scarcity, efficiency rules. This mating system eliminates chance entirely. It's reproduction engineered for survival at extreme depths. Visitors are confronted with how alien life becomes under different conditions. The giant squid no longer feels mythical, it feels mechanical. Museums use this example to show how evolution rewrites biological rules. Sex here is precision, not ritual. At number 1, museums reveal sexuality not through animals, but through human self-awareness. The Venus of Willendorf stands as one of the most influential objects ever displayed in natural history collections. Carved over 25,000 years ago, this small limestone figurine reshaped how we understand fertility and identity. Long interpreted as a goddess or charm, a newer theory changes everything. The figurine's proportions match what a pregnant woman sees when looking down at her own body. Enlarged breasts, rounded abdomen, vanishing feet, these are not exaggerations, but perspective. In a world without mirrors, this may be humanity's first self-portrait. Museums now present Venus as an act of self-recognition rather than male fantasy. Her missing face reflects biological reality, not abstraction. Her detailed hair suggests touch, familiarity, and lived experience. This object becomes intimate evidence of early bodily awareness. It shows that reproduction wasn't just biological, it was understood emotionally. Museums frame her as a message carved across millennia. She celebrates creation from the inside out. The Venus of Willendorf connects sex, survival, and identity into a single form. It marks the moment humans began reflecting on their own biology. As we've seen, museums have moved from hiding sexuality to explaining it, revealing reproduction as the true engine behind survival and evolution. From fossilized turtle coitus to Ice Age artifacts and ritual ceramics, these exhibits show how life adapts, competes, and endures. They remind us that sex in nature is not spectacle, but science, raw, creative, and essential to existence itself. If any of these stories surprised you, share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into hidden history, and thanks for watching.